How's it going, everybody? I've got some more Magic for you today with what I'm going to call Grave Beetle. We're playing the Midweek Magic Aetherdrift Constructed again, so these are all only Aetherdrift cards. You can do some really fun stuff in Standard, actually mixing in, depending on what you want to play. This is an insect-focused deck, so there are a lot of really fun insects you can use in Standard, but since this is only Aetherdrift cards, we're not making use of a lot of those. I do, however, have a really fun build here, very grave synergistic, utilizing primarily insects. I'll go ahead and start getting into the breakdown. One of the best green cards, or Golgari cards, I should say, that's been added in this set is the Molt Tender. If you're doing something involving self-mill, if you're doing something involving your graveyard, like Insidious Roots or something like that, this card is really fantastic. So it fits in really great in this deck as well. You have a 1-drop 1/1 that has a tap ability to mill a card. So that is milling yourself, keep that in mind. And then you have a tap ability for exile a card from a graveyard to add 1 mana of any color. So if you don't have anything in your graveyard yet, you can't tap this for mana, but that just means that you want to use it to put something into your graveyard that you can feed to it to tap for mana going forward. It's really helpful, and it helps us get to some of our more expensive cards here a little bit quicker. Very, very good card. We've also got Quag Feast, which is really fantastic also. I'm running it as a playset in this. I would probably recommend, if you were going to use this in a standard deck, don't run any more than maybe like a 3 of, because you are milling yourself each time you use it. But it's a really good removal. It's a 2-drop removal. It's sorcery speed, which I don't love. But you choose a creature or planeswalker or vehicle, mill 2 cards, then destroy the chosen permanent if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of cards in your graveyard. So if it is a cheap thing that you're trying to get rid of, you can potentially get rid of it on your early turns, if it's a 2-drop or a 1-drop, something like that. But on the later end, if you don't have enough cards in your graveyard, this is not that good a removal spell. We have Bloodghast, because this is constantly going to be bringing itself back from the graveyard. It is not an insect. I will say that. This is the only creature in here that is not an insect, but it synergizes so well with this deck that I felt that it really needed to be included. I love Bloodghast. This is probably one of my favorite cards in this whole set, but I have nostalgia to this card. It's one of my favorite cards from a long time ago. So I've been using it in a lot of decks, but this is a graveyard deck, as you'll see with the next card. So this really, really fits in well. It has landfall, so that anytime you play a land, it comes back from the graveyard to the battlefield. If your opponent's at 10 or less life, then it gets haste, and it can't block. That's the big downside to it, but very good card. We've got Dredger's Insight, the graveyard synergy of this deck, or one of them at least. That's very nice. It has, it's an enchantment that whenever one or more artifacts and or creature cards leave your graveyard, you gain 1 life. And whenever it enters the battlefield, you mill 4 cards and put an artifact, creature, or land card from among the milled cards into your hand. This card I've used with Insidious Roots. It's really fun. It gains you quite a bit of life, actually, and it feeds your graveyard, which is something you really want in this deck. Whether you use this in a Roots deck or not, I still think this is a really good card. Now, we've got Web Strike Elite. This is an Insect Archer, a 2-drop 3/3, which is already really good on its own, especially since it has Reach, which is fantastic. It has Cycling, where you can pay 2 plus X, and when you cycle this card, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment with mana value X. That can be relevant, but I'll be honest, most of the time we're going to play it for the 2-drop 3/3 feature. But the fact that it has Cycling also means that we could feed it into our graveyard if we needed to for whatever reason. Coming down from there, we've got the Broodheart Engine. This is a 2-drop artifact at the beginning of your upkeep, Surveil 1, so that's just a persistent ability that's going to happen every upkeep for you, which is fantastic. And then it has a 4-drop tap, sacrifice this artifact, return target creature or vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and activate it only as a sorcery. So this is a from the graveyard to the battlefield effect, which is fantastic, meaning you can pick any creature or vehicle. And we've got some expensive creatures we want in our graveyard, so that's why this is so important. Yeah, really good card. I like this. I don't know if I would use it in the standard version of the deck, but it is very good in this constructed format that is so limited on your return graveyard to battlefield effects. We've got Spin Out, which I think is a really good augmentative removal in this because so many people are going to be playing creatures and vehicles. We don't have things like Go for the Throat, Bitter Triumph, things like that. So this card is really good just for killing off things that we need to in this limited style of format with this constructed event. We've got the Lifecraft engine, which is really important. In this deck at least, like if you're going to play this in this constructed event, I definitely recommend using this card. You may not want to in, say for example, the actual standard version of this deck because there are other things that can accomplish similar effects, but in this in particular build, this is a really important card. As this vehicle enters, you choose a creature type, and vehicle creatures you control are the chosen creature type in addition to their other types. So that means that any vehicle you have is now an insect if you choose that, meaning the Debris Beetle, which should be an insect anyway, is now going to be an insect and getting buffs from the Lifecraft engine, so that's really important in my opinion. But anyway, and then each creature you control of the chosen type other than this vehicle gets +1/+1, and it has a crew of 3. We've got Debris Beetle, which I kind of glanced over while looking at Lifecraft engine. This is a 4-drop 6/6 that when it enters, your opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. That is a Lightning Helix for 4 attached to a 6/6 vehicle creature. The crew cost is only 2. This is probably my favorite vehicle in the whole set. There are a lot of really good ones. This one's really, really good. And with the Lifecraft engine, it is also an insect. So it gets that buff to be +1/+1 and synergizes really well with the deck as well. We've got the Chitin Gravestalker. It is a 6-drop 5/4, which sounds terrible, but it is an insect, so it's getting the buff from the Lifecraft engine. It has cycling, meaning you can just toss it if it's early in the match and you need to get something in your graveyard, you'd rather draw mana, something, you can absolutely do that. And the spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact and or creature card in your graveyard, meaning it can be much, much cheaper to cast, especially later in the game. So it's actually pretty good. And then finally, mainly what this deck was built around, I guess, the Achik Emerald Radian. This is a 6 cost, so it is very expensive. This is going to be your primary target with your Broodheart engine, but it is a 3/3, which doesn't sound fantastic, but when it enters, it creates a 1/1 green insect token for each artifact and or creature card in your graveyard, and whenever another insect you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on Achik. Each opponent loses 1 life. This thing is an absolute monster. It's a 6-drop 3/3, but you're guaranteed if you have artifacts and creatures in your graveyard, which you should by, if you're hard casting this, to just absolutely load your board and gain and drain for you if your creatures start dying. It is such a good card, and like I said, your main target for the Broodheart engine should be Achik. And if you do that, it's going to switch places with it and still count as an artifact in your graveyard, replacing itself to, build up those critters. So that's the main build of this deck. We do have just some tertiary land stuff, mostly basic lands. It doesn't get super complicated. We've got Wastewood Verge, which is the new Golgari land in this set, which is really good. You want to use a playset of them, probably whether you're doing this in standard or otherwise. And then a couple of Jungle Hollows. Not fantastic, but we've got them thrown in there too. No sideboard because there's no way to play this game mode best of 3. Like I said, I'm calling this deck Grave Beetle. I hope you guys like it. This one's a really fun one. Alright, we get to go first. We do not have any black land. But you know what? I'm going to risk it, because we've got Molt Tender and we have Web Strike Elite, so I'm going to give it a shot and try and see if we can't use Molt Tender to get ourselves the other colors we need. Does mean Spin Out's a dead card and Achik's a dead card at the moment, but I think it'll be okay. Or at least I hope it will. Okay, got a Nesting Bot from our opponent. Did get a black land, which is fantastic. We're going to go ahead and play that and play our Archer. I'm going to hold up the Mill ability on my Molt Tender and just pass. Right now we want to use it for the ramp capabilities that it has. Hopefully he doesn't go to having some way to kill my Elite right away. Okay, he's got a creature out. doesn't seem to be doing anything. We are going to mill a card. Okay, it did turn out to be a land. Let's see, what do we want to do here? We could kill his thing. I think I just want to buy time, though. So let's go ahead and use Dredger's Insight. Okay. How do I feel here? I think this Beetle is so good. It's so good. I think I'm going for the Beetle, because I already have a forest in hand to play for the Bloodcast on the next turn, and I can play this on the next turn, so I think it's worth it. So we're already up to what would essentially be 5 land with our Molt Tender if they don't kill it. Perilous Snare is very unfortunate, but I expect him to hit my elite with it. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not blocking. I don't care. Okay, we're going to mill again. That's totally fine. Alright, so now we're going to go Forest. Get our Bloodghast, get ourselves some life from that, get our Debris Beetle going, and pass. Now, we can use the Bloodghast to crew the Debris Beetle, because it's only a 2-cost crew, which is fantastic. I would be shocked if he attacked in here. Yep, not happening. So what we are going to do now... Oh, we have so many good, interesting cards. I think I'm going to go Lifecraft Engine. Naming Insect. And then we're going to use Quag Feast to get rid of the Flyer. And I am going to get rid of a land in here for mana. Could get life with the creature, but don't want to, because might get a chance to use Achik here. Alright, and I'm totally happy there. That's totally fine with me. I'm going to just pass. Now, there is a crew of 3 on the Lifecraft engine, so we're not going to be crewing it with the Bloodghast, but that's fine. We do need 1 more land to get Achik out, but we're not going to get a big payoff from it if we do it now, unfortunately. 0-4 is pretty unimpressive. It does have flying, which sucks, so we're going to have to hit it with Spin Out. Gotta make sure he doesn't keep flyers. That's going to be the biggest thing for us. I think in this case, what I honestly want to do is to cycle this. Yeah, a land is totally fine here. I don't mind that at all. Then we're going to go ahead and pass. I want to hold up, obviously, the Spin Out, and we have to use the Molt Tender to get that effect, because I don't have a second Swamp Out. Yeah, just keeping him off flyers. That's the most important thing for us right now. Okay, so we can go ahead and play Achik finally, which we're getting enough value out of it where I think it's worth it. Let's go ahead and just get rid of another land. And then I think I'm going to start getting aggressive. It might not be necessary, but I want to go ahead and start attacking in now. Got a 7/7 with Trample. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, we will just block with our 2 new insects. That's actually going to grow our Achik. All right, and that's a game 1 win for us. They just did not have the gas necessary to really get through that. Played this well, in my opinion. Like I said, this Debris Beetle is crazy. It was our biggest defense through all of that, along with this Blood Gas. The Blood Gas could crew the Debris Beetle, and the Debris Beetle gets +1/+1 and becomes an infect from the Lifecraft engine. So they just feed each other into being obnoxious. Achik was gigantic now. We were going to be able to start getting this Broodheart engine out there with it. I'm super happy with this deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was a really good game 1. Let's see what else we can get into. Alright, we only have swamps, which is terrible, actually. So I'm going to mulligan this. That's much better. We're going to keep, and then I'm going to get rid of Achik, because we can easily draw that or get it in the graveyard, and that would be more preferable. Unfortunately, no good 1-drops came to us. Looks like this is probably a zombie deck. We are going to go ahead and get the Broodheart engine out. Yep, absolutely a zombie deck. Was totally to be expected. Broodheart. I do want a Quag Feast, actually. And then in this case... Well, what would I want to do here? Maybe Quag Feast? I think I'm going to save it. I'm going to just go for Dredger's Insight and see where things go from here. Yeah, I really want the land, actually. Don't need an extra one. Let's go ahead and go here. Get that out on the battlefield. Get the Beetle out here. Pretty happy with that turn. Because we can crew that Beetle now, which is really nice. Man, this is the obvious block. Nothing else happening there matters. I'll take the land, actually, so I can double spell here. So let's go here. Dredger's Insight. And then actually, I want the Molt Tender. So let's do Quag Feast. And then we can get the Molt Tender out too. See if he's still going to be aggressive. Looks like yes, but that's totally fine. Just whittle away at his resources then. That's fine by me. Quag Feast is fine. We're going to go spin out. Well, let's hold the spin out. I'm going to go for another Quag Feast here. Then let's just pass. We can do the spin out on their turn, because they may play something more troublesome. Speed Demon's a good thing that's troublesome. Okay, he didn't attack this turn. Let's go ahead and get rid of the Speed Demon. Really, actually, just want Achik in the graveyard at the moment. Well, that didn't quite work out that way, but you know what? That's fine. Now we've got plenty of blockers. And we can pass. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Got rid of my vehicle too. How sad. That's going to ping him a bunch, and we can just get Achik back this next turn. What do we have here? 4, 5. I will take it. Just so we can double. Let's do double spell action here. Should have probably done Achik first, because it would have gotten me 1 extra insect, but that's fine. Getting 7 is going to be plenty. So, hope he has another board wipe. So what do we want here? I'll take another Achik backup. Okay, killed our Achik. Totally fine. We're still hitting him for really good damage, honestly. And we can play one more Achik, and if we get out another land, then we can get all of these Blood Gas back anytime we want. Yep. So, great game 2 win. Achik really proving just what the powerhouse it is. Like, you can do so much with this card. It is so disgusting. And you can actually see exactly why I put that Broodheart engine in here. It's really good. It's really, really good. Helps you kind of control what you're drawing, along with the fact that you can just get Achik back from the graveyard. He board wiped, and I immediately refilled my board just because of this one card. So, really, really good. Alright, opponent gets to go first. Nothing amazing here, but I think it's probably keepable. I will say I don't love it. We don't have any 1-drops or good, really actionable stuff, but I'll probably go with these 2 forests first. I'll start with a forest, and then if he does something I really don't like, I might switch gears and go for a Quag Feast or something. Okay, let's go ahead and start with a Web Strike. Got the land to do pretty much whatever we want now. Go here and go Dredger. What do we have? I think the Beetle's the best option here. So we could potentially destroy that. I think, right? Destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment with mana value X. This thing's 3, so I need 1 more land to do that. Okay. In that case, let's just go to Beetle. And pass. Okay, and then we're gonna go here. Pretty hard to say what is the best option here. Let's go Quag Feast first. Or not Quag Feast, Dredger's Insight first, and then Quag Feast. I think I'll go for another Web Strike. Does this thing get bigger? Let's go Quag Feast there, because I can more easily get rid of things with the Web Strike, as far as the vehicle. Getting land out of our way is nice, too. And I don't need to attack. I'm going to save this for blocking against their vehicle if I need to. Yep, and we'll just block. I don't mind. So we have a Lifecraft engine. I think we gotta go... get rid of that one. They do still have an annoying vehicle, obviously, but I think that was just necessary. What's the mana cost on this vehicle? 5? Yeah, that one's going to be a lot harder to get rid of. We really need a land to get Achik out, is where we're at right now. Oh, that's so unfortunate. My life total's still pretty okay, and we did get the land, so let's at least get Achik out here. I'm going to decline that because I don't want it right now. I'd rather have the insects. None of his stuff has trample, so I'm really not bothered. And I'll just block here. I know he'll probably pump it so that the double strike prevents him from dying, but I think this is fine. All of that's going to grow my Achik and actually heal me some. Okay. Let's go here. We need some insect growth. And then I'm going to go with this engine and Molt Tender here. I'm pretty happy with that. So he can keep crewing, but his days of being able to get in effectively are pretty much over. Oh wow, another Achik. Let's put that in the grave. Go with the land. Get back our ghast. Get Debris Beetle going. How much land do we have left? Not a lot. So let's actually go here with this and pass, I think. I've got a good setup for attacks on the next turn, and he can't attack in safely. Yeah, because if he's just going to keep attacking in with a 2-3, I really don't care. Let's get the Bloodghast in the graveyard. We did draw a land. Let's go ahead. Crew here. And just swing in like this, I think. He's going to have a really hard time trying to block all this. It's totally fine. He just doesn't have favorable blocks. I have Atchik that I can... Okay, he's just dead. I was going to say I could totally just bring Atchik back with the Broodheart engine, plus I have a land to get the Bloodghast back right afterwards, too. So, really good showcasing of this deck. This thing is silly. Like, super silly. Atchik is a phenomenal card, and should absolutely be tried out in Standard. I haven't worked out a deck for it yet, just because I don't have a lot of copies of it in Standard, but that's where this Aetherdrift Constructed Midweek Magic is so much fun. You get to try out cards that you don't have yet. So, I hope you guys liked this. Thank you for joining me again, and I may have one more Midweek Magic in me. I'm not sure yet.